Today we are going to make Koosa Mahshi, stuffed squash. You buy your squash, medium-sized squash usually. These are small squash, which is nice to have if you can get them. After you wash them, you take and trim them, cut the necks off, and you hollow them out with a cord, which is very easy. It takes a little bit of time. It looks harder than really what it is. A lot of people think, oh, how do you get that hollowed out like that? Okay, that's another one. And we just continue doing that until we get them all done. Even the large ones, you do them the same way. See, they are hollowed out. It doesn't take very long. And after we get through hollowing them out, we take this, what we have taken out of the middle of it, and we'll take and chop an onion, a large onion, and simmer it. And then we add this to the onions with butter, and we let it cook until it's very tender. We drain it if there's any juice on it, add a little more butter, and add some eggs to it. It's according to how much filling you have. And it's a scrambled squash with eggs. We call it FARR, which is a very good dish. Of course, you add your salt, pepper, and cinnamon to it. Now, after this is through here, I will prepare the filling that goes in my squash. Now we are ready to mix our filling for the squash, which is called hashwa. I have 2 cups of rice here and about 3 cups of chopped meat that I dice by hand. You can use chili grind or you can use the ground beef. But usually the diced meat or chili grind is preferred. I'll add these together. Then I'll put my seasoning on here, which is salt, pepper, and cinnamon. I don't measure. I guess I cooked long enough to where I can pretty well judge what I want in it. But the average person can judge how they like their spices. Some like it more spicier than others. I'll add my salt. I'm not supposed to use too much salt. And then my cinnamon. Cinnamon really gives it a good taste. And that's one of our main spices. Then we'll mix it up real well. We use our hands for this. I want to be sure to get this mixed well. I think that's mixed pretty well. Now then we'll start stuffing our squash, which is very easy. You just take and stuff them about, I'd say 3/4 full, or almost full, about like that. Place them in the little pan. Doesn't take much to fill the little fellas. Now we stuff green peppers the same way. We stuff eggplant the same way. Use the same basic stuffing here. I'll keep on stuffing these until I have this little pan full with them standing in the pan. Like that, so they won't tip over. And I put a saucer on top of it when I add my tomato sauce, and that way they will cook without tipping over and the filling coming out. And that's the way they will be after I finish stuffing them. Now I have finished stuffing the squash. This pan is going to be cooked in tomato sauce. I will mix my sauce now. I'm going to use 2 small cans of sauce for that amount. And I will add 2 little cans of water. That's to my sauce. Now I will add a little salt and pepper to the sauce, because it will take it to season the squash. And my cinnamon. Now we will mix this spices with the tomato sauce and the water that I have added, and then I will pour it over the squash. And that should be mixed pretty good. I see my squash is all lined up in there standing. And I'll pour this sauce over it. See how that looks in there? Now to keep them from floating and turning over, I'm going to place this plate over them. And it's ready to go on the stove to cook. After that comes to a boil, I will let it boil for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours on low. That way I know it's well done. After it boils, I will put a lid on it and let it continue cooking with the lid on. Now with the rest of the squash that I had stuffed, I am going to have some grape leaves, which we call Aresh. And I will put my squash in with the grape leaves and cook them together. And I will show you what I will do. Now this is the filling that I had left from my squash. And these are grape leaves, which I have picked from my vines and put in the freezer. Now I am going to roll grape leaves with this filling, put them in this pot, and add this to it, and cook them together. And I will show you how we do this. They stay rolled, they don't come unrolled. Okay. Now I'll keep rolling these, and I did put a few pieces of meat in the bottom of the pan, which you can see. Now we'll continue rolling grape leaves till I get that covered, and then I will put my squash in with it, and then cover it with grape leaves. And I'll show you then how I put it on to cook after I get them all in there. Now I have added my squash on top of the grape leaves and the meat. I line them up in there. Now I'm going to roll more grape leaves until I cover this up. And now I have finally finished rolling my grape leaves, which looks like this. Now, I had a couple of torn leaves. I'll just lay them on top of this. And I'm going to put a plate on top of it. That way my grape leaves won't float and unroll. And I have some water here, which I'm going to add salt to it. To salt my squash and my grape leaves and the meat. And a little bit of pepper in with it. And I'm going to stir it. And after it starts cooking, I will taste the juice that it's cooking in to see if it needs any more salt or anything, which can be added any time. Pour this right on top of it till it comes up to cover my dish. Just out like that. And this will go to the stove and just start cooking. And after it boils, it'll cook for at least 2 hours, maybe, from 2 to 2.5, 3 hours. The longer you cook it, really, the better it is on a low fire. And my squash is cooking away. It'll be done another hour, hour and a half. Well, my grape leaves and my squash is done and turned into a platter. We just take and turn it upside down, and here's what it looks like. There's my squash, my grape leaves, and the meat that we put into it. It makes a very pretty dish. And then the squash that's cooked in the tomatoes, it's done also. And I'll just put it in a bowl, get ready to serve it. And we'll put a little of the tomato sauce on it. It's got a little rice mixed in with it, which makes it good. And that gives you what the stuffed squash with tomato sauce looks like. We call this Koosa Mahshi, and we call this Aresh with Koosa Mahshi. Now then, it's time to sample. So I'm going to sample a little bit of my meat. And I'll take a small squash. And I'll take grape leaves. And I'll try a stuffed squash. Now, we'll try our grape leaf. And it tastes real good. I always have a good taste on food. Now taste the meat that I put in with it. It's cooked till it's really well done. Delicious. Nothing like meat cooked in with your yogurt and Koosa. Now this is the squash cooked in with the grape leaves. There's the filling. Real good. My seasoning is perfect. I know people think I always say my seasoning's good. You taste it, and you'll know. Now then, for the squash cooked in the tomato sauce. Another delicious dish. This is what it looks like. It is very, very good. Wish you were here. You could have some of it.